Always liked the Planet of the Apes films as a kid. Used to be on local TV, on the Boston TV channels that I would watch, and I just thought they were fascinating. The first film I thought was flat out scary at times. When you first see the apes in that film, wow, blood ran cold. And that reveal at the end, which I believe in spoilers, there's always somebody who's never seen a movie. So I'm not the kind of guy who's like, the movie's 50 years old. People should know by now. No, they shouldn't. I'm not going to give away the end of the original Planet of the Apes. That was a punch in the brain. And the new film started coming out. And I say new, they're probably 20 years old now. But the newest round, Rise, Dawn, War, Battle, whatever they were called, of the Planet of the Apes, I was very impressed. And the special effects get better with each of those films. So when Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was announced, I got excited, and then I kind of went back a little. I'm like, ugh, is this one sequel too many? And then from the trailer, I only let myself watch the trailer once just to get a sense of it, and then I kind of almost literally do that in the theater because I want it to be fresh and I don't want things to be given away, because as we know, every trailer is at least twice as long as it should be and gives away about 5 times more information than it should. Luckily, this one really kind of didn't. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, to me, looked like it was going to be the original 1968 Planet of the Apes, but with the roles reversed, like from the apes' point of view. It's not that. I was very pleased. This is really quite good. This is from a different filmmaker than before, and I'm hearing rumbles that they're planning a X number of film cycle, and I hope they do. Trilogy isn't necessary. Everybody thinks nothing can be taken seriously unless it's 3 parts. That's not true. The original Apes films, arguably, they had one too many sequels, but the original Apes films did it in multiple installments, and it wasn't necessarily one linear story they were telling. You were just revisiting this world every once in a while, and that's kind of what I hope they do with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and its sequels. It's a Planet of the Apes. It's right there in the title. We could be seeing what's going on in France with apes. We could be seeing what's going on anywhere. It's kind of like what the Walking Dead universe does. We could see individuals. It doesn't have to be the same characters all the time. It could really go anywhere with this. I don't think it's going to, but it could. So what is this film? 2 minutes in, you fool, you fool. What is this film about? It takes place generations after War for the Planet of the Apes. So it's none of the characters that were in the previous films. It is about tribes of apes. There's a tribe of chimps that have their ways and their culture and their traditions and what they do and where they live. And they come across a human being who they were told to stay away from those things. They're trouble. They're not good. Stay away from them. Through the human, they come across a gorilla. Much like in the original films, the gorillas are the big, beefy, tough, aggressive, warlike creatures. And the cultures clash. I'm not going to get into it too much because it's really fun to find out how this film plays out. There were a good number of surprises in the film that I did not see coming because I didn't watch any additional trailers. I didn't read about it. Effects are really good. Now, there are times where I'm watching it and I'm like, yeah, it still feels like those apes aren't really there. It still feels like that floaty CGI thing where it doesn't feel like things are really standing on the ground, moving on the ground. I got over that because when you look at the faces of these apes that talk, boy, does it look real. Boy, does it look really close to real. It looks better than it ever did before. And sometimes I would be looking at the eyes and I was like, those eyes are so real and so human-like and expressive. Is it actually the actor's eyes and they just CG'd the face over it? And sometimes the mouths, I'm like, the facial expressions, very subtle facial expressions, even on characters that aren't talking, that are reacting, is so well done. Amazing production design. I always have loved in the old Planet of the Apes films or the TV series where you would see what our world that we know would look like if you didn't touch it for 1,000 years or longer, and what's left and what's overgrown and what's been repurposed by other creatures for other things. There's some of that in here. I would love even more of that in the future films. And it was just really good. One of the things I have to say about this film, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, in case somehow you popped in the middle of this, is that it's not all action. It's not set piece to set piece to set piece to set piece, which the other films did to a degree. This is a much more restrained film. There were times where it felt a little slow, but at the same time, it's like, wow, a franchise picture that's arguably aimed somewhat at kids, taking time to have people just talk. And when I say people, I mean apes. Taking the time to just look around, it was nice. So in retrospect, yeah, it probably could have lost 20 to 30 minutes, but at the same time, would that have been at the expense of it just feeling like just going from conflict to conflict and action to action? That probably would be what you were left with. So I hope this film does well. I'm an Apes fan, so it's weird for me to really like a new sequel or a new remake and a remake series or reboot, which is a word I loathe. but these are really good. These are really well done, and they don't replace the old ones. They really stand side by side rather nicely. There are references to the original Planet of the Apes film here, because I guess if you wanted to find a correlation between the old films and the new ones, this is probably closest, I guess, to the original, but really not by much. There are moments where they resurrect Jerry Goldsmith's score from the original film in a moment that sort of echoes the original film, which was a really nice touch. And they have a verbal reference that kind of connects it to the original film, which got a good laugh out of anybody who remembers the old film. So very respectful to the original films, very intelligent as far as a modern Hollywood blockbuster about talking apes goes. And it's no Dunstan checks in. And I would recommend going to see this on the biggest screen you can. I know when I went to see this, I saw it at an Alamo Drafthouse on their biggest screen. It's in IMAX, it's in Dolby, it's an epic, in grand in scale. Go see it. Go see it with someone you love. In theaters now, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes.